The third eye. The final scene of Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness was supposed to be a shocking moment, marking the start of a darker phase for the hero. But it ended up being remembered for another reason. Some pretty questionable CGI. As Doctor Strange calmly walks down the street, he suddenly feels a sharp pain. And then, third eye opens on his forehead. The reveal was supposed to be unsettling, showing the scars left by his use of the Darkhold. But the visual effect looked rushed and almost detached from Benedict Cumberbatch's face. Instead of looking realistic or disturbing, the extra eye looked like it was digitally pasted on, completely breaking the moment's intensity. For many fans, what should have been a mysterious, tension-filled ending just felt strange. The Troll. The post-credits scene of Eternals was supposed to be one of the most exciting Marvel moments, introducing two iconic characters, Eros, played by Harry Styles, and Pip the Troll. But instead of being epic, it grabbed attention for all the wrong reasons. Pip's CGI. The scene starts with Makari, Droog, and Thena aboard the Domo, searching for other Eternals scattered across the universe. Suddenly, a portal opens, and Pip the Troll appears. He introduces himself with humor and announces the arrival of his master, Eros, brother of Thanos. Moments later, Eros steps out, promising to help the Eternals on their mission.
Oh, my ears! My eyes are numb. Behold, the royal prince of Titan, brother of Thanos.
The problem? As soon as Pip appears, the audience notices something off. The character's textures look unnatural, his animations are stiff, and the lighting doesn't match the real environment of the ship. The result looks like an old video game cutscene, completely out of sync with the usual MCU visuals. Later, visual effects supervisors revealed that Pip's CGI was finished in a rush just before the movie's release. Apparently, the character was added at the last minute, and the team barely had time to polish the details. Floating head. Even Thor, Love and Thunder didn't escape some rough-looking CGI. After the children are kidnapped by Gore the God Butcher, Axel Heimdall's son uses his clairvoyant powers to send a message to Thor.
Can you see me?
Heimdall's son.
Astrid, are you okay?
I no longer go by the name Astrid. I'm now known as Axel.
The idea was to show Axel projecting only his head, glowing and floating in the air. But in practice, the scene became a meme. The boy's face looked digitally stuck in place, with flat lighting and poorly cut edges. Many fans said it looked like something from a student film, not a Marvel blockbuster. The backlash was so strong that the studio released a fixed version to improve the scene. But the new version got roasted even more. The Phantom Mustache. And don't think DC escaped the bad CGI curse. In Justice League, one of the most infamous CGI fails in recent movie history happened, all because of a mustache. Henry Cavill, who played Superman, was also filming Mission Impossible Fallout at the same time, and due to his contract, couldn't shave his mustache. That caused a standoff between studios and Warner Bros. Discretion. Solution was to digitally erase it.
Yes, it does.
But it looks like an S.
The result? A total disaster. The CGI used to recreate Cavill's upper lip made his face look rubbery and awkward. His mouth movements looked stiff and unnatural, with a plastic texture that ruined any realism. The issue was especially obvious in the movie's opening scene, where Superman talks to some kids and his lips clearly don't move right. Audiences noticed instantly, and the internet exploded with memes and jokes. The Phantom Mustache became a legendary CGI fail, costing millions and damaging a film that was already in trouble. Weird Modok. The scene where Cassie Lang tries to convince Modok to switch sides in Ant-Man and the Wasp. Quantumania was supposed to be emotional, but instead, it was remembered for his bizarre look. Honestly, Modok looked weird throughout the entire movie. In the final battle, Cassie gets cornered by Modok, the distorted version of Darren Cross, the former Yellow Jacket. Instead of fighting, she tries to talk to him, and that's when the famous line happens.
I don't know, just don't be a dick.
It's too late.
Okay, that line was bad, but what really caught people's attention was the CGI. Corey Stoll's stretched, oversized face looked poorly rendered, like it had just been pasted on without any proportion fixes. Instead of looking threatening or tragic, Modok just became another meme target.
Created so much more here than
Nowhere left to run.
Weird explosion. During one of Black Widow's most intense action scenes, Yelena Belova gets caught in a massive explosion that was supposed to look tense and realistic, but ended up looking fake. As the structure collapses around her, the digital flames and debris look off, with movements and lighting that don't blend with the real environment. The fire in particular looks plastic, and the physics of the objects flying around just don't feel right. The Hulk head. In Avengers Infinity War, with a massive $400 million budget, audiences expected flawless effects. But one scene stood out for the wrong reason. Bruce Banner inside the Hulkbuster armor. Instead of looking realistic, Mark Ruffalo's head inside the suit became one of the most criticized CGI shots in the movie. Every frame of that sequence has issues, and Bruce's head looks like it's floating inside the armor, disconnected from the 3D model. The lack of blending makes it look like a bad cut and paste job, totally out of place with the rest of the visuals. The problem was especially obvious during the Wakanda battle, where close-ups made the flaw impossible to miss. Plastic claws. In X-Men Origins Wolverine, one of the most infamous scenes happens when Wolverine looks at his newly revealed adamantium claws in a bathroom mirror. Instead of looking realistic or intimidating, the CGI was so bad it became one of the worst effects in superhero movie history. The problem is clear the moment you look at the claws. They don't cast proper shadows or reflect light naturally. The metallic texture looks flat and fake, more like a bad Photoshop job than a multi-million-dollar movie effect. Even worse, the claws don't move naturally with his hands. They look like they're floating over his fingers. That sequence became legendary, but for all the wrong reasons. Fans compared the claws to 1990s video game graphics. Video game suit. In Green Lantern, one of the biggest CGI blunders in superhero movie history involves the main character's suit. Instead of giving Ryan Reynolds a physical costume, the producers decided to make the entire outfit digitally. The idea was to give it an alien energy look, but it turned out to be a visual disaster.
Green!
The suit looks digitally pasted on with fake textures and stiff movement. In bright scenes, the contrast between Reynolds' real face and the CGI suit is glaring, especially around the mask, which looks poorly rendered and off balance. Instead of looking powerful or heroic, it makes him look like a badly rendered video game character. Ironically, the film had Lord of the Rings costume designer Neela Dixon on board, but they still decided against using a real suit. But let's be honest, the CGI suit was just one of the many problems in what became a total disaster of a movie. PlayStation 2 jumps. In Catwoman, starring Halle Berry, the visual effects failed on almost every level, and nothing shows that better than the jumping scenes. During the robbery sequence, Catwoman runs along the walls, but the CGI makes everything look painfully fake. The digital body of the heroine looks rushed, with flat textures, bad lighting, and stiff movements, almost like something straight out of a PlayStation 2 game. Instead of showing feline agility and style, the scene ends up making people laugh unintentionally. The integration between the real actress and the digital model is so poor that she seems to float through the set, with no sense of weight or realism. What's even more shocking is that the movie had a budget of about $100 million, yet the visual quality fell far below what audiences expected, even for that time. Digital eyes. In Blade Trinity, there's a strange and heavily criticized detail in the morgue scene near the end of the movie. Blade, played by Wesley Snipes, is lying on an autopsy table, about to be cut open, when he suddenly opens his eyes and attacks. The problem? Those eyes aren't real. Because of conflicts between Snipes and director David S. Goyer, the actor refused to open his eyes while filming the scene. As a quick fix, the crew decided to digitally create eyes using CGI. The result was an awkward, artificial look, with a weird shine and poor sync with the actor's face. Instead of an intense, memorable climax, audiences got a visual effect that looked unfinished and awkward. Ruined Rhino. In The Amazing Spider-Man 2, one of the film's biggest criticisms, aside from its messy story, was the design of the villain Rhino, played by Paul Giamatti. Despite Giamatti's strong presence, the CGI used to transform him into a mechanized monster left a lot to be desired.
I crushed sword too! I destroyed!
The most obvious problem is the infamous floating head, where the actor's head looks completely disconnected from the robotic body he's supposed to be inside. That effect completely breaks the realism and destroys any sense of threat the character should have had. Even with Giamatti's talent, the final result fails to convey the power or danger of the villain. Digital villain. In Suicide Squad, the villain Incubus had the potential to be terrifying and memorable, but the execution fell flat. The idea was to create a horrifying, imposing being. But what we got was a CGI-heavy monster that looked more like a tall guy in a bad digital costume than a real threat.
It's gonna be bad! We should run.
The physical design was already strange, and the CGI made it worse. His semi-human face looked extremely artificial, robbing him of any credibility, and his expressions and lines ended up sounding more funny than scary. Instead of inspiring fear, Incubus became the subject of jokes and complaints from fans, especially ironic considering the film's makeup team actually won an Oscar. Ironically, practical makeup could have created a far more believable effect than the over-reliance on digital animation. CGI Doomsday in Batman vs. Superman: Dawn of Justice. Doomsday's introduction was supposed to mark the movie's epic climax, but it ended up being one of the most criticized moments for its poor CGI. After the intense showdown between the heroes and Lex Luthor, Doomsday suddenly appears. Despite motion capture and voice work by actor Robin Atkin Downes, the final digital result left a lot to be desired.
Oh, shit.
The CGI, while technically decent in parts, looks stretched and overdone, dragging out an already heavy and exhausting sequence. His appearance feels generic and uninspired. Instead of wowing audiences, the digital villain only emphasized the movie's excessive use of effects and lack of visual identity, making the final battle feel hollow rather than epic. The truth is, superhero fans are getting tired of movies that rely too much on CGI, especially during climactic scenes. All that digital overload often hides weak, shallow storytelling beneath flashy visuals. On the screen right now, there's a video showing the biggest sacrifices in superhero movies. Click to watch it. See you there.